Okay, and we're live.
All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul
and Nate, and welcome to the System Washington After Show for episode 2. Tonight, once again, thank you, Paul, for joining us on the After Show. Once again, if you guys don't know, he does a podcast covering Survivor and Big Brother. And after this, go ahead and check out his channel, Reality Room Podcast. It's a load of fun. I'm on there a couple times. So, hey, you'll see more of me. But tonight we're discussing System, which is my show. And we are joined by Bill, who was unfortunately eliminated tonight as the first eliminated contestant of the episode. Cody may be joining us later in the night, depending on how his schedule is. And as promised, Ivy will be a little late tonight, but she will be here to make up for it last week, but she will be here to help discuss both the first and the second episode. We're also joined by one Mr. Lord Henning from season 2 of the System Hyrule. He got 4th place in that season. He did very well. And he was also a guest host for the mission of this episode. And we are very happy to have him on here.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So, Paul, if you want to get the discussion started, let's do this.
Yeah, so the episode started with Ivy getting eliminated last time around. Oh, sorry. My YouTube page just went crazy. So Ivy got eliminated last round after some strategic game planning from multiple people, actually, from two sides of the game. We had obviously the cabinet doing a lot of work, and then we had people going to try to save Regan as well. So it was a very, very good episode. So this starts off with Alex kind of saying that he was kind of out of the loop on that vote, but then he got information at the last minute saying that basically saying that Ivy wasn't safe, so he had to change his vote. Do you guys know what happened with that?
I think Bill can give us some insight on that one.
Wait, why Kamani changed, or why Alex changed his vote?
Yeah, why did Alex change his vote last minute?
Yeah, Alex eventually, I think, sniffed it out and knew that the votes were going to be flipping. We originally had a plan for Don and I to put 2 on Cody, and for Kamani and Alex to put, or for whoever and Alex to put 2 on Regan to keep our entire group safe, but we decided to bail on that just because we wanted Ivy out, and like word slowly got to him, and he just jumped ship, I think, before he could be the one that was pinned as the exposed vote on Ivy. And so I think it was a move just to frame Kamani a little bit.
I can also give some insight on this as well. Alex didn't send his vote in until about 10-15 minutes before votes were due. Eric was immediately after. So this was a conversation that was actually left on the cutting room floor for this episode between Bill and Eric, where they discussed the whole situation that happened. And basically, it came around. Eric decided to just tell Alex nothing. Alex messaged him, was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Eric just left the conversation on red and just did not answer back, didn't give him any information. And that's what tipped him off. And that's why Alex went to multiple people. He went to Max, he went to Reailty, and he was just like, "Hey, what is the vote going to be? Who is going home?" And they're like, "Oh, we thought you knew. It's Ivy. Ivy's going home." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to vote for Regan." So that's how it happened.
Did he just ghost him?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
All right. Great stuff, guys.
I hope that plays out later. Like, I hope Kamani gets his revenge just for being exposed like that. That'd be great.
Oh, you'll see more of Kamani next episode. Trust me.
Because I feel like we haven't really seen him too much other than in the chamber. All right, so let's talk about the party leaders now. So with the popularity party, it was between Eric and Blake, and Eric ended up winning. And between the Prism party, it was between Alex and Cody, and Alex became party leader for the second time. How do you guys feel about him being party leader 2 times in a row? Do you think that was a good play?
I felt so bad for Alex and his entire party watching that happen, because what is not shown is that we actually gave them like tree mail for each of the missions. So like when Alex and Max had it in the first episode, we were just like, you'll just need a deck of cards, and it's going to take a while, and that's all we told them. This past one, I think one of them was a puzzle, and another one was a map of the United States. And hi, Ivy. So welcome. We're in the middle of the discussion of the mission for episode 2.
Ew.
But basically,
I wouldn't know anything about that.
We'll get back to episode 1 shortly, but first we're going to discuss the newest episode. But anyway, so they got that. They knew it had something to do with U.S. geography, and based off of the Prism party's discussions, they were planning on putting Cody in, but Alex did not give his. They get 3 votes, 2 votes to put on one person, one vote to put on another person. Alex didn't put 2 votes on Cody like he was supposed to. He only put 1 because he's like, I want to make sure that I have the best chance of getting safety this round. So he decided to just be a little greedy and put himself in, and it ended up screwing himself.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. The one German.
Oh, that was such a fun challenge to host.
No, he was the real question. Are you really going to do the European one next?
Oh, geez. Like, even, it was just the whole time, like, right before, like, it happened, I'm just like, Alex is going to lose again. He's going to lose again. This is going to be hilarious, but it's going to be really sad.
Well, no, the real fun part was when Nate sent me the instructions for that challenge, and it spoiled that Alex was coming back.
Yeah.
I decided to come up with that prank, and I asked Nate, can I pull this? Because this is when Alex left last season. Because Alex will absolutely shit himself if I potentially am going to replace him.
Yeah,
I was like, let me pull this prank on the both of them, and he said, let it sit for five seconds, and then tell him it's a joke. And it was
a viewer, I was like, what?
And I knew Nate would produce it in the best way possible, so I knew it was going to be a great moment. So I was sitting there and I was trying to keep a straight face the whole time I'm reading the script, knowing full well I'm going to change the ending for this gag. And I wasn't sure if I would be able to pull it off, because Nate knows from my season 2 I'm the most honest person in town. I can't tell a good lie to save my life. But I think I pulled it off pretty well because Eric was freaked.
He was like, Alex, he I don't know if you guys heard it, but basically after he said that, Alex was just like, okay.
I guess being party leader isn't that great at all.
Yeah. And Eric was just shocked. He was just like, no. I'm not going out this way. And then Matthew, the screen, you can see him just counting away the seconds. Like, okay, they've shit themselves enough. I'll let them know.
My hand was under my desk, and I'm going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Gag.
But he actually asked me permission for that.
Yeah, I pitched it. If Nate had said no, I wouldn't have done it but because it was Alex's, because I saw Alex, because it was week 2, that is exactly when Alex left, because I was hosting the challenge. I was like, and because I was one of the reasons Alex left, I was like, this will fuck with Alex so very much. Please let me fuck with Alex. And I love Viber so much. So letting me fuck with Viber is one of my favorite things. And I appreciate Nate letting me have my one moment.
When he messaged me that, I'm like, yes, absolutely do this. This will be so funny. Please do it. That was probably one of my favorite moments of the round. Another one was something that I did a little later on purpose, but it was when we get to it, I'll let you know.
I mean, even I was surprised when I was watching that part. I was just like, wait, what?
I was like, I felt like it sounded good too, because politics deals happen all the time.
Yeah, they do. That's
you did a great job of
the only way I felt like I could sell it was this was a political deal I pulled with Nate.
They were
unbelievable.
They were taken out of office, and you were the replacement.
I was coming. Gosh, Matt, you talk more than Ivy does. Oh my god.
This was my one moment of the season, Bill. Let me have it.
All right, so
Excuse
You
me
get your
while I'm
moment in 2 seconds.
all right,
Excuse
You
me
get your
while
moment
I'm
in 2 seconds.
stuffing my face.
So am I. I've got a milkshake and a Take 5 here.
Sponsored by McDonald's.
Good shit.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
No,
let's
the
talk
reason,
about the
I just want to say real quick, the reason
Right.
we voted Alex in again was because nobody wanted to target, like, no one wanted to prove themselves yet. And we thought right away when we saw the map and the puzzle that it was going to be a puzzle that he just had to memorize. And it was going to show up in slider form or jigsaw puzzle form. And we knew Alex was really good at those as long as he just knew the puzzle and looked at it ahead of time. And so that's kind of what we were pushing on him. Clearly, that didn't happen to be the case. It ended up being worst case scenario, but best case for Eric. And at the time, I thought Eric winning was so good for me, but look how that worked out.
Yeah. So
Karma. She is a bitch.
yeah, so Eric kind of like
Karma-
zoomed
karma's
through that
real
that challenge like so quickly.
Yeah, the time was shown on the screen. I think he got like just
like-
under 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 3:56.
Jesus Christ.
In
Oh,
testing, I think I did like 7 minutes because I kept like not putting things in the correct spot. So
Yeah,
like
they had to line that shit up.
yeah, it was very touchy. Like and that's you're gonna see that puzzle again, but harder later in the season. So look out for that.
But Alex didn't come off with nothing out of today's episode. He ended up winning the secret power, which Nate, I'll let you go on and explain a little bit about
I think
that.
Bill can actually discuss this more because he was somebody who is also going for this power.
Oh my gosh. All right. So yes, I feel like as according to Nate, I was the only person that was even attempting to like figure this out. And then I told Eric, and so we were both searching. But originally I just saw that it said highlight text, or so it said highlight text, and it didn't click with me yet. So I just knew that. So I just started so we have those secret doors that Eric mentioned in the previous episode, and that Nate mentioned in the previous episode, and those are going to come into play, he said, later, much more significantly. But yeah, we were. It was a hot mess, and so I just started typing there's a password, I open it, and so I just started going in all production chat, any chat I could think of, saying I open it. I got to the point where I was saying open sesame, like maybe it was some secret password I could just guess, and I was losing my mind in classic fashion, and I'm sure Nate had a blast just watching it.
Nate, how did you feel watching him try so hard?
I'm pulling up the chat.
Oh, no.
production chat right now.
Please share the screen.
I'm not going to share the screen, but
A lot of swear words, I think.
there were. Yeah.
That's just me on a normal basis. How many times did you have to bleep me out in every episode?
Blake and Alex crushed both of you. They like once that their time comes for an after show, they will be rung through because, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever censored anyone in any season as much as I've censored either one of them in just one
censored
episode.
me and Nick a whole bunch last season.
Who? What was that?
Me and Nick, you censored a whole bunch last season.
But like with you two, it was maybe like 3 or 4 times a confessional. Theirs is not just their confessionals; it's every conversation and almost every other word. But
I mean, I openly flicked off the camera.
Yeah,
you had to censor that.
Oh boy!
And that was before I knew how to use a mosaic. Anyway,
So was it just a black box?
yeah, it was literally just 2 black boxes. Okay, so here's what this is what happens. So he puts, I open it, I say nothing happens.
I already forgot that you were doing this. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I had to scroll up a bit, but hold on, it's not like, okay. He said nothing happens, F word, highlighting text, nothing happens. ING text, nothing happens. ING, nothing happens. Secret door, knock knock, in all caps, nothing happens. Highlight, nothing happens. Oh my gosh, I'm here. Who's there? Open sesame. Question mark from me. Nothing happens at all. Text.
I can just imagine Nate eating popcorn while this is going on. Just
I was slightly annoyed, but also laughing. And a picture of the word text highlighted, nothing happens. Picture of the word of text highlighted, nothing happens. Texting highlighted, nothing happens. He copied the message that I removed from the chat and put it in our production chat, removed on May 29th at 8:57 p.m. Nothing happens. Are you allowed to tell me if that image removal was an error? No. Party, nothing happens. Party, prison party, nothing happened. Dude, you're killing me. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. And then he tries, Bill tries partying text, nothing happened. And that's the last thing that he tries.
That was it. That was it.
I would have ended with a cry smiley.
I empathize with Bill because this is me when I tried to steal the mask.
It was very similar. It was both Matthew and Adrian like messaging me at the same time, just being like, "Can I steal the mask? What? Can I steal the mask?" Nothing happens.
Like I went through every permutation of so Bill, don't feel bad. Everyone who is trying to hunt down a secret power has gone.
And at least you and Eric weren't doing it at the same time.
Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole pretty quickly there. That's for sure.
All right, so let's talk about this pardon power. While we're here, because Pill did not win it. It was indeed Alex. So the pardon power lets you pardon one of the chamber people, right, Nate? And
yeah, so that wasn't originally what the pardon power was going to be. So there's a story behind this. I actually didn't come up with this power. One of the production members, shout out to Brian Bickram. Brian Bickram is like awesome in my production team. We would not have a cast without him in any season. But basically, I was like, when we were designing the season, I was just kind of sitting there and just being like, I don't know if I want to power this season. We already there are more twists to come in this season, which both Ivy and Bill are aware of. Matthew and Paul are not, but there are more twists coming in this season. And we were discussing whether or not we wanted to power, because we're we don't want to push the envelope too much. We want to put it at just the right amount. And we had the pardon as a name. We knew we wanted to call it the pardon. And when we had it originally, it was going to be a nullification of 3 votes or something like that. And we were that's kind of like the magnet, and that's kind of boring. And then literally only a couple days before the start of the game, Brian's just what if they can save themselves from the chamber? I'm like, you're a goddamn genius. We're putting this in the game.
If it was vote cancellation, voter fraud would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brian came up with that power. We ended up putting it in. We set up the schedule for it. So you will see the pardon again this season. When it's back in play. How it's going to be discovered, that will be yet to be seen. But it is different from the first time.
Do they have to? Do they have to PM you Open Sesame?
No.
No, they have to put in Bill's name.
I was going to say,
we're eliminated at this point in order.
I was going to say, that's why Ivy's here. She won it at Redemption Island, and she's back in the game.
That's how Ivy knows everything.
Episodes, Bill.
It's called the Redemption Party, guys. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
I will confirm that there is no buyback this season, because I've told a couple people. A couple people have asked me. I'm like, there is no buyback this season. One, we had too large of a cast to do that. 14 people is really pushing the envelope for us. But especially for how short the game is. But we that was written down as part of our ideas for the season. We just ended up just scrapping it in general, just because we're this will just be Redemption Island. We don't want that.
Yeah, and when he says a couple people were asking him, it was basically Ivy and I in the pre-jury chat.
It wasn't just pre-jury. It wasn't just pre-jury. I got questions tonight actually from 1 or 2 people asking if there was going to be a buyback later in the season, because of one specific person that is not here yet.
Oh,
yeah.
So, okay. All right,
Nice to know. Nice to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little chat that the cabinet were having with each other. So it was Bill, Blake, Don, and Eric. And Bill, what was the deal with Brian? Was he in or out?
Yeah, that's a great
your eyes.
In my eyes, he was totally out. As far as being called part of the cabinet. He was really tight with Don. He told all the information to Don, which is why I started stiffing out Don, the fact that Don would only communicate, or Brian would only communicate to the cabinet through Don. So we never invited him to the actual chat. We actually made it separate chats of 5, like with him for certain calls. But he was just so unresponsive and only talking through Don that he was out in my mind.
And so in that conversation that the 4 of you had together, you kind of talked about really targeting one person and not wasting too many of your prisms early on. So what made you come to that decision?
I think, well, like half Don and I had, 0 prisms. So we're like, the least we can spend, the least we can spend, the better. And we were just, and Don saying, oh, I'm going to spend a couple on you and a couple on you. And I know he did that the first round to garner trust, but I don't think that happened the second round. And I don't know, we just got to the point where we're like, well, it just can't be us. And like, you guys have so many prisms. There's no way, Don and I are going to end up in there. And there's no way Blake was going to end up there because Eric and Blake were going to protect us all. And that just didn't happen. Alex was supposed to be in there. And if Alex had been in the chamber, like the vote could have been completely different. I think I might've snuck by with him being such a big target. And so that's why we targeted him, and why we targeted Cody, because we just knew that Alex and Cody we didn't know that they were as close as they actually were. We just assumed they were close, but they were super tight knit, and Don was feeding all the information to them, and that's going to lead us forward in this story.
Why do you think Don went behind you guys' back so early on? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well,
that won't spoil anything later on.
No. I think Don saw that just through talking to people. I don't know if the sequester thing came up, but he realized that Blake, Eric, and I were a tight 3. It kind of started with Eric and I, and then Blake really was the one that brought Don in. And so we just trusted Blake blindly, which Henning will tell us now, will tell me now is a terrible move. Don't trust Eric. Don't trust Blake. I just found that out.
Flashback to episode 1 when I said don't trust Eric.
At that point, I had already
have said over multiple times, don't trust Eric.
At that point,
I can say I love Eric. I've played with Eric before. I love him as a person. I hate him as a player because he will always do something.
Eric was undyingly loyal to Bill, though. It honestly, like, it was nothing that Eric did. It was nothing that Blake did, like, on purpose. It was entirely Don. He had a much better relationship with Cody and Alex from the very start of the game. Basically,
yeah, he said on multiple occasions that's who he wanted to work with. The bromance was cut short.
Yeah.
And I think we saw C-SPAN at the end of this episode. So.
Let's get into that in a second. I had to reapply my war paint after I saw that.
It was a great episode title.
I love how we have like our own little shticks for this. It's like Bill has the war paint on. I'm here eating nuggets as I usually do.
Yeah,
Cody has his coat.
Ivy and I know we were the most entertaining first 2 out ever, right, Ivy?
Duh.
All right, so now let's talk about another alliance, the Founding Father Alliance with the 2 past players, Alex and Max. So they were talking to one another, and Alex kind of reveals to Max about the alliance, about basically the cabinet alliance that's been going on. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure I got this correct. Did Alex plant seeds about like a fake rumor?
Yes, he did.
Okay, he did. I thought that was brilliant.
It was brilliant. And watching that go down, he completely flipped the votes in his favor to take out Bill with that. Wow. Like Reilly, Regan, they were like, Regan, even though she was in the chamber, she put more pressure on Reilly to vote out Bill. And that was like, just because she was just like, Reilly and Regan were really close at that point in the time. Dylan felt very threatened by that because he didn't want to be associated with anyone quite yet. So it was very interesting to see that kind of play out. Kayla didn't really care because she was already aligned, she knew who she was aligned with. She knew Bill, Blake and Eric trusted her. So she was like, yeah, that's not true. And they were like, oh yeah, okay, that's not, yeah, we believe you. So, but it really made Reilly and Dylan in particular very scared. And it completely turned the tide of the votes.
And it didn't work out the way that Alex really, well, and his end result was to, get me or get one of the, the cabinet. But it didn't work out like to turn on me for the right reasons. How it turned on me was Alex had sent the rumor to Reailty, and Reailty messages me right away. But the way that Reailty messaged me, there was like a misused pronoun that made it look like he was talking about I was the one, not Reailty was the one as part of the alliance, and that's why I flipped out, and I went immediately to Alex, and then I went to Max, and all before it was cleared up. And that was not necessarily in the episode because it didn't add to my arc of like hero then screwed, but it really made me look like a hot mess, which I totally was.
Hero question mark?
Remember, guys, always use correct grammar when playing the system. Otherwise, Bill can get voted out.
Messages matter. They really do.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
have any questions on
Messages
pronouns,
definitely. The context of messages definitely matter.
And speaking of Reailty, I found out that Reailty was, I think Reailty was the one that actually was convinced maybe it's his own idea to put the prisms, to put me down. So it was his prisms that brought me down to that point.
Reailty was directly responsible for putting Bill in the chamber. That was something we couldn't actually put in the episode. There was a variety of reasons, but it was just because there wasn't like.
Good to know, though.
Just based off of what the overall arc of the episode, it didn't like quite make sense of suddenly Reilly's in the game. And we put Reailty in because like it was just like I wanted to put that in. I wanted to show more of Reailty because he really did have a huge impact on this particular round. It was just that at best, because of the fact that he didn't do much in the first round, by comparison to everyone else, he was still active. He just wasn't doing anything very like proactive in the first episode. I had to show that he was flipping basically to Alex's side because of Alex's lie. So that's just to clear how that worked out. But yes, Reailty was very, very important in this this particular round and affecting the outcome.
All right, good, go Reailty. All right, so now let's talk about the three people who Kamani, Alex, and Bill, and then Alex uses the parted on himself. And then Regan is put in the place instead of put in the chamber instead of Alex.
Regan cannot catch a break.
Yeah, Regan's been in the chamber for three
times in a row.
Is Regan going to be the new Nick?
Times. So
Wait, what? Sorry.
Is Regan going to be the new Nick?
The new Nick. Here's the thing: is she going to be Nick or is she going to be Bryce or Miranda? Because Miranda has the record for women. Bryce has the record for men, and Bryce has the overall record.
I'm just thinking of early game.
Yeah.
Nick was, at least last season, it was Nick.
Yeah.
Nick.
But Nick wasn't put in by the wheel multiple times or by some other thing. Regan was technically safe this round.
That wheel. Oh Lord.
Yeah, that wheel is crazy.
That wheel was in love with Cody.
Oh my god.
It had some feelings towards Cody.
It's like, look, I'm helping.
It got him twice.
The wheel will make appearances, and when he or she does, he or she will do devilish things.
All right, Nate, what was the vote count between the first three again?
I believe it was. I gotta look it up because I forget.
I think it was 5-3-2.
I think so.
Yeah, Regan had 5.
Regan had 2.
Yeah, Regan had 5. Regan had 5. Kamani had 3. I had 2. The biggest. I mean, if we're gonna jump ahead to the end, we can always backtrack. But one of my besides being the Tasmanian Devil, like Blake called me, the fact that Eric and I were like total final two, C-SPAN for life. We had gotten on a big call, even with Brian at that time, that we didn't record because we were just strategizing too hard. We're like, we can't think about it like putting on a show. And we got to this point where Eric, we felt comfortable with my votes. We knew that Kayla was locked, and then Brian and Don said they were locked. And so we had 3, and then Cody and Max had also at one point promised me their vote. And so I'm like, well, one of them's telling the truth, that might fall on me, so that's 4, which is why we gave Eric which is why we decided as a group that Eric could vote on Regan. And when my gut was telling me he should switch it, it's too late. He had already voted. But damn. Yeah, so yeah, if you see the voting chart, it's like, why the hell didn't Eric vote for Bill? Well, we thought we were okay.
Okay, that definitely explains that.
And if you swing that vote back, that goes, I believe, 4-3-3.
Kamani goes home.
Yeah.
And
Well, the vote was actually 4-4-2. So if one vote changes from either Kamani or Regan, Bill's safe.
Yeah. So that's why you never tell people who are going to protect you in a vote to vote for someone else.
All right, that's
unless you're the one who's suspecting you're going to get overloaded.
Well, Don said it. Don said we were playing hard, and we were playing hard, and we just overthought it, like simply enough.
Mm-hmm. And like everyone was overthinking this round. Sorry,
this is a very easy game to overthink every single possible little situation that could happen.
Yeah, people really don't understand. I think like out of all past players, I think probably Matthew, Jace, and Noah probably understood this concept the best. Telling the truth is actually extremely beneficial in the system. Like it is, like it's beneficial for you, it's beneficial for other people, but more importantly, it's beneficial for you because if you lie to other people, more than likely your plan is not going to work out because they're going to take that lie and they're going to just use it, and then it's going to mess everything up that you want to happen. So inherently in this game, telling the truth will typically benefit you more concerning a vote in particular than lying will. Lying about popularity scores, however, that can be beneficial.
Oh yeah, I thought I lied through my teeth with that.
Yeah. So yeah, but in terms of voting, telling the truth is definitely a lot more beneficial because it's votes to save. It's not votes to eliminate. So you want you do not want to accidentally get rid of the wrong person.
All right. Now, I did love the war paint that that Bill put on when he was in the chamber.
Yeah, I had. Well, there were some moments that were not put in this episode that I was that Nate so quickly told me afterwards that wasn't put in there to like not give away that I knew I was in dire straits like really early on. Like I got very emotional on a call with Eric and Don, and Don was so happy that this clip wasn't put in the episode either because it makes him just look like the biggest douche because he's sitting there
look like a douche
because he's just sitting there as I'm like crying and telling him how much fun I'm having and how much I want to play, and he all along knew that he was like a part of that reason of all the leaked information, like he was that guy, and he just sat there and smiled and consoled me and made me feel all nice and cozy. So he was very happy.
We love everyone trained in the chats coming like, we love you, we love you. Oh gosh.
He smiled the entire time he was sticking that knife into your back, dude.
Like maybe it was a human to human moment, not a player to player moment.
Yeah. But Don, like, after the game, like Don, he is so apologetic after the fact, and he and I are on great terms now, and always were. Like I'm good at having my moment and then leaving the game behind. I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, Don, and plus Don, like he's just the type of person that you can't really stay mad at. He's just like he's a genuine person. What? Sorry, Ivy?
So lovable.
Yeah.
So
that's why you keep your back against the wall so that no one can drive the knife into said back.
That's just when you wait for the boss to come and run you over.
Oh, sorry, Ivy, you're cutting out.
Forget it.
Jesus. All right.
Ivy's not jumping at a second chance to talk. What's going on?
All right, let's talk.
Bill.
I love you, Ivy. I love you.
Guys,
want this alliance to go.
All right, guys, back on track. Let's talk about the live night.
Yeah. So before we talk about like the actual details of this, I want to explain why we had a live night so early this time. Because like season 1, we had one on night 1. However, that's very different from having one in round 2 as opposed to one on round 3. Because the past 2 seasons we had one in round 3. Which for those of you watching past seasons, that's usually like episode 3 or episode 4. So if you're looking back at past seasons, that's the one. And that's typically around the time when jury starts. So they're way closer to jury in early seasons when they hit that live night. This live night is a lot earlier in the game. It's only the second person, well, in this case, third person going. There's only 2 people out. And it puts a lot more pressure on people because there's more people in the game. It's not everyone's alliances have actually solidified yet. So we wanted to put more pressure on people in making this decision. And yeah, we'll discuss the effects of that.
Can you talk about your decision to keep the previous president still safe?
Okay, so we did discuss this as well when we came up with the twist, because we knew that we were going to have a live night during the twist while it was still in the game. So we were like, well, here's the thing. We're not doing a mission in the middle of a live night, for at least not this early in the game. Just because we're like, that's like kind of ridiculous. It makes things messy. Episode wise, it's going to make it way harder to produce. So there were just a number of factors as to why we didn't do that and just create a new president. Also, if we wanted to create a new president, we would have to do another ballot vote, which would have added more things to it. So we're like, you know what? We're just going to make it really convenient for that person that wins it. So if Alex had gotten it, he would have been in a even better position now, because like he is safe for 2 eliminations and he still has the pardon. So it was like, if he ended up winning that would have been fantastic for Alex. Ended up being great for Eric, because I really feel like if Eric didn't win that, he would not have been in the best position. So it was just because, like, if Eric did not win the presidency, I think he was more likely going into the chamber than Bill, because he was rubbing more people the wrong way at that point in time. Bill was more seen as the kind of like, if Eric's the Godfather, Bill was the mafioso. Like he was the guy kind of doing the dirty work, and like that's a Town of Salem reference. But basically, Eric was the one who had, I think, like, no offense to Bill here, but I think he had a better sense of the game, and was able to kind of understand a bit better how people were interacting. Whereas Bill had more gusto in terms of actually like getting people to do what they wanted to do. It was actually a really good pairing. But because Eric was safe, Bill was then the target. So yeah, that definitely affected it, and it was very convenient for Eric that he was safe this round.
Absolutely. So let's talk about who made it to the chamber during this live night. So the 3 people are, wait, I have this written down somewhere. Don, Regan, and Kamani. The reason why I don't remember is because they weren't the ones on the chopping block, really. So what ends up happening is, now Blake joked about the 3 votes thing, but no one planned that, right? That was just completely by accident, Nate?
That was entirely unintentional. Jeez. Like, when Blake said that, I think he messaged me and was just like, I really hope that this just goes the way people are telling me how it's gonna go, and Kamani goes home. Like that's what he messaged me. Him, Eric, and I think Kayla were being told that Kamani was the target. He was gonna go home, and ironically, like, Cody was one of the few people that was like, yes, I'm voting to save Don. I want to keep Don in the game. He's the only one out of those 3 that I really feel connected to, so I want to keep Don in the game. And whereas everyone else, like Alex, hold on, I'll look up who ended up voting for Don. And for Regan. So the votes were Kayla, Eric, and Dylan voted to save Regan. Max, Alex, and Riley voted to save Kamani. So Riley, Max, and Alex all lied during that whole 5 minutes that we gave them and said, yeah, we're not going to keep Kamani in the game. And they ended up changing their votes, whereas Cody stayed. And had Cody actually flipped his vote, or one of them had flipped their vote to anyone else, Kamani goes, Cody stays, and it completely changes the game. But yeah, it was completely unintentional. And it was, I don't know if you guys could tell, but my voice was like super shaky, and I felt like I didn't know what to do when I read the votes. Like I was just like sitting around, like staring at my screen.
I believe Nate PM'd me that night, and he's like, "Hey, Paul, something amazing happened, but I can't tell you."
I feel like I knew what had happened because we talked about this
a little bit, and I said, I can't wait for you to see episode 2. That's what I think. That's what I said.
Me in the jury chat being like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
and I was like, when you said something in the rule book, like never before happened, it's like I feel like I went through every single possible permutation of anything that could have happened last season with you. So when I see this, it better be something that will blow my mind.
Yeah. So it was just like. I think I stared at my screen for a solid like 30 seconds, just counting. I counted the votes at least 4 or 5 times just to make sure, because I wasn't sure. I was just like, there's no way that this happened. There's absolutely no one is this stupid to let this happen. Like, no offense to the
that's literally why you make a plan and try to get people to stick to it.
Oh man, I was like, I was just sitting there. I'm like, these guys, they're either brilliant or they're really dumb. It's just like
it was brilliant for some of them.
I mean, like,
i.e. the ones who
best cast ever, either really genius or really dumb. That's the slogan for this.
That kind of move, I don't think can be considered really brilliant, because if you're all putting yourselves on suicide watch, that's not genius. That is definitely insanity.
The fun things that you miss when you're voted out first.
And this just highlights the chaotic nature of this game. The last 2 votes, my vote and Cody's eventual ousting, is all by 1 vote. 1 vote completely changes the end result and could potentially change, butterfly effect, the result of the entire game.
Live nights are crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I was talking so much, because I understood that every single vote, for the most part, mattered. Especially with 3 people in the chamber, instead of like 2 on the block in a game like Big Brother. 3 people divided amongst, the votes divided amongst those 3. 1 vote, can completely change everything, which is awesome.
There's only been 1 live night where everything went exactly according to plan, and that was the first night of High Roll.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, when I literally said, I want Johnny gone.
Yeah. And even then, it wasn't perfect, because
I got my end result, which was Johnny.
The end result went as planned, But Nick and #Team Sequester and Sherry were like, "Nah, let's screw with everything."
I still got my way.
Sherry McPherson, how can you beat her?
I got my way on 2 of the 3 live nights.
It was
Steve, and I got rid of Ojani.
And even the Steve thing, like, that wasn't necessarily what you had planned. That had a lot to do with Tony.
I wanted Steve out like for 3 or 4 rounds. It's just people kept getting in my way.
And I still disagree with that move, Matthew. But
Steve was not going to take me anywhere.
Do I need to separate
you publicly say I want Steve out of this game, and then you message Steve and say I'm actually keeping you, just pretend like you're nervous, like, you win the game, Matthew.
Do you remember how many emotional breakdowns Steve had during that game?
I'm not gonna say any more about this, but like, just
Nate and I have had fights about this.
We have had discussions over this, because Matthew could have won last season. But anyway.
Nate, that was your best like Blake impression, like as he speaks and leans into his microphone. Like, it looks like he's taking a sip of a candle like every time he talks.
I also want to fight with Nate over Ivy's elimination once we can get back to that.
And let's get back to that now. So,
can we please fight over my elimination?
Back to episode 1, guys.
Let's do it.
By the way, if anybody wants to message us with like questions or anything, you can message us in the YouTube live chat, as well as over Facebook. So please do that.
So
Ivy's elimination, I thought, was dumb, and like Nate was propping this up as like this giant strategic move. Ivy was basically Bryant from season 2. It was not a giant strategic move to get rid of Ivy.
I mean, it seems like
Cody would have been a strategic move. Getting rid of Ivy was just basically Brian.
I think
I don't care what Nate says.
Brian was more screwed by circumstance, to be fair.
Brian was screwed by circumstance, but
it seemed like
two sides who came together and basically decided.
Ivy, but you kind of did it to yourself.
Oh, trust me, I've been awake for nights pondering why I opened my big fat mouth.
Like,
the moment you said, "Please give me Alex," I'm like, "Oh no, she's gonna be out before jury." Like,
you know what? That's fine, because now I have a redemption arc. It's fine. It's totally fine. We planned this out. I talked to Alex after the game, and I'm just like, you could have just told me to shut up, and things would have been okay. I do love Alex, though.
Alex is a character, and I love Alex.
The only thing is, the only reason why that happened is because before I played this, I played another org with both Alex and Eric in the cast. So everything that happened kind of leading to system followed me, because immediately I know that I'm playing with Eric, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I go, and Alex comes in, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed. It's fine.
Yeah.
It seems like
I realized
your
undoing
really
is
early.
what everyone's. I think Ivy's undoing was what everyone's undoing in the first round is. It's if you're not a victim of circumstance, you're a victim of your own lies. And if you lie too much too early and you get caught, you're dead. And so that is an advice to any future system player.
Oh, yeah.
Do not lie too much too early, because if
And
you
also
get caught, you're dead.
Mouth shut if you're thinking. I was actually had happened. My original game plan. It's funny how the episode was edited to make it seem like, oh, I'm gonna play this game very, very quietly, and then boom, everything happened. My original plan was before Alex was announced to have come in. I was originally going to work with Eric because he was one of the only people that I knew. And even though I don't trust Eric as far as I can throw him, which is not very far because I'm a tiny human being, I was going to work with him because it's at least an entity I know and I can get rid of if I need to. And then Alex walks in.
Yeah. Ivy's undoing was not the fact that she was lying to anybody. It was that she was telling the truth about how much she loved Alex. Like, it was all about the truth.
And then people just ran with that later on. And
yeah.
Like, oh,
immediately.
Oh, she's going to work with Alex.
minutes later, we ran with it. Minutes.
Here's the thing. I noticed in playing that it's one of two things that can really be your downfall in the first round. It's either you're not active at all, or you're way too active and people notice that and they're like, that's going to be a threat later on, or I'm just tired of it and they're annoying, like Blake says.
You just have to make sure you're well protected. You need to have an agency behind you. If you're going to be labeled the annoying one, you need to make sure you have 4 or 5 people behind you.
I was the annoying one in game, but now out of game, I got the whole everyone loves Ivy train, just like chugging along behind me, and it's fine. Everything's fine.
Do you think there's anything you could have done even after saying the stuff about Alex that you think could have saved yourself?
Okay, so what was not shown in the episode was after I was put in the chamber, I was campaigning really hard for me to stay anyway. I was messaging every single person that I really could. And another thing that was not, it was kind of talked about a little bit, was the prison party was very, very active. We all talked and everything. But the other party didn't really speak to anyone because they didn't feel like they really had to. And they didn't. I don't blame them. But there were some people that I tried to talk to, and I'm like, hey, I really want to stay. I just want you to know that if you could throw a vote my way, I will work with you, blah, blah, blah. And there were some people that are like, yeah, let's do that. One of those people is Max. Max really wanted to keep me around. And then I get the notice from Viber about 5 minutes before the results are announced, and they're like that. And Viber told me that Dylan was saying that he wanted me out, and that's eventually what happened.
Jeez. So it really was like a 2-force attack with both the cabinet and Dylan. Yeah.
Yeah. Some little upset that Dylan's getting so much of this credit, but but it's only the first boot credit, so I'll give him. We were happy to give it to him. But the cabinet was a little bit upset about how much credit Dylan was getting for this, because if it wasn't for me getting on the phone with Dylan and suggesting this idea that Dylan then manifested in his brain and ran with, I don't know if it would have happened. But the cabinet was really at the stance so we didn't care, but Dylan was the one that did kind of care, and so that's why he stands out.
Hey, Bill, it's going this way. The alliance is going this way.
I mean, you have to get someone. You have if you want to get rid of someone, you have to get another group to save the other person. Otherwise, it's going to end up with a tie somewhere.
Right.
Because that's why Kamani was willing to throw his vote on to save Ivy. Because if everyone piles their votes on to save Cody, Cody goes.
That was our whole big concern on the present party, or at least what I know from actually talking about it with the actual party chat was like, you know what, Regan is not as active as the rest of us, and that's not really going to be helping us in this point of the game. So we don't want to owe everything I was hearing. So we're like, okay, we'll split it between Ivy and Cody. So how many people were on our party? I forget. So seven people. So 4, and then 3 of us were in the chamber. So 2 people of each would vote for both Cody and me. And then we would campaign to the others to try and throw votes our way and try and get Regan out. Obviously, that's not what happened.
All right. Also, I just got word from Cody. He unfortunately will not be able to make it tonight. So we're going to try to work out something for next week. He had work tonight, so that's part of it. He couldn't get out of it. But next week, we'll try to work something out because my schedule changes starting tomorrow. So we're going to be changing the after show schedule a little bit for next week. So anyway, as for final thoughts, Ivy, Bill, you guys both know the result of what's to come. But Matthew and Paul, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are for next episode. So, Paul, you can take it away because I see that you're ready.
Oh, boy. Well, first, I want to say press F to pay respect for Cody.
Oh, boy. We love that boy.
Honestly, oh, God. I mean, things are going to get really complicated now. I think Don was put in the chamber today, so I think he might be seen as like a target from now on, possibly. And it's like the people, it's like Blake was mentioning before, like all the big names are going home, so the people who are quiet are probably going to start stepping up. So that's probably what's going to end up happening, unless something big happens with you mentioned the secret power, not that secret. The pardon's coming back later on in the game, so maybe that will help out later on. But I do think that the players who are quieter will be the ones who are dominating. But they'll get louder eventually because quiet players are really just loud players just biding their time.
Wait for it.
I definitely think Dylan and Blake are in trouble. And the reason I'm saying this is because Dylan opened his mouth and said, I don't know who Don is. I would be glad to see him go. And anytime you openly declare you want someone gone on a live night, that can come back to bite you in the ass if that person stays. And clearly Don is still there. And Don has allies because 3 people voted to save him. I think Blake could be in trouble because he basically put into the universe, hey, let's have it go 3-3-3. And people are going to remember that, even though I don't think, he planned it. But, he definitely had the relash of, hey, if 2 people kept their word, this wouldn't be happening. So he called people out. And anytime you call people out, that can, again, blow up in your face. We've seen it happen on more than one occasion in the system. You call someone out, it will come
It didn't happen when someone called you out, Matt.
Yeah, that's why I was the dictator. I dealt with my problems. I dealt with them ruthlessly and efficiently. I don't think this season is full of people who will deal with people ruthlessly and efficiently, because look how messy they are. They did the one thing we don't do in this game, which is have a 3-3-3 vote on live night, when it is completely and utterly avoidable. When literally you can say, here is a plan. You can have an overload.
Yeah.
An overload is perfectly fine.
I do want to say, though, that this was the shortest live night yet. I do want to say that, especially this early. They only got 5 minutes. Past seasons get 10 minutes.
You only give us 5 minutes on our first live night.
Really? I thought I gave you guys more.
You give us 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I think I gave you guys longer voting time, I think, though.
I'm pretty sure it was 5.
I think it was 5 of each. Like with this.
I think he only gave us 5 minutes for voting because Steve got pissed at you.
Yeah, I actually didn't give them 5 minutes to vote. I said 5 minutes to discuss and vote. So yeah. So they only got that. I said time's up, send your votes now.
We had 5 minutes to discuss and vote. So I remember having to do this the whole time until it was time for the vote. And I asked, can I put my hands down, please? So, but I definitely think the people who talked during live night, because the Lord knows I did, and that made me a target a few times. Only I was able to put Adrian in front of my face. Say, here's Adrian. You want Adrian. I don't think anyone has someone that they can put in front of their face and say, this is my Adrian.
That we know of.
The alliances have not been well enough established.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone else is willing to bite that bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Adrian was willing to take shots for me because he knew I would back him up.
Yeah.
Eric might have been willing to take a bullet for Bill, but they had Don who was ready to stab them both in the back. Whereas my alliances, I tried to build people who I knew who was talking. I knew who was talking to who.
Yeah.
And I knew they would be in front of me in line of execution.
Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair. We've discussed this so many times for those of you watching.
But but I mean, like, I think Dylan and Blake both definitely stand out as people who spoke up during live night and could definitely find themselves in hot water.
All right, we'll see what happens next episode.
Yeah, speaking of next episode, last episode I gave a little bit of a teaser for this week, so I'm going to do it again for next week. So as I said before, the pardon is back in play. You might see it again in episode 3. Whether or not it'll actually come into play in episode 3, who knows? But that's to be determined. And as for next episode, things get a little personal, and that's all I'm gonna say for that. So Ivy and Bill are already cringing at that, but like, because they know what I'm.
If any of these people cause Viber to go pre-jury, I'm gonna be mad at them.
So the bad thing about the pre-jury is we can only hear about what happens. We don't see everything unfold like how you do in the episode. So what I'm getting, being first boot, is basically what you guys are getting. I don't even know the whole story for everything. So I'm in the same boat as everyone else.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Bill, you're fired.
Let's let everything get ready to get ugly.
All right, I'm excited for things to get personal.
and mind you, all of this happens after I said it's nice to be great, but far greater to be nice.
Everything gets personal after live night is what I've realized.
Mm-hmm.
Live night,
like you take out the 2 most charismatic people, the first 2 votes, and then everything goes personal.
Yeah. No,
like literally, live night 1, I took out Ojani, and then I basically Miranda became my target. It got personal really fast between me, Adrian, Miranda, Dustin. Live night 2, Sherry leaves, and it becomes very personal between people. And then live night 3 happens, and things quickly got personal.
And in season 1, Max goes, and
Joshua Felix becomes public enemy
number 1 with Courtney as his sidekick, and that whole thing. And then next live night, Joshua and Courtney get booted back to back, but as Joshua's walking out the door, Bryce is yelling at him. So yeah, it's high energy. So you're gonna see this is probably gonna be, if you're thinking there's gonna be a fight, you have no idea.
Yeah, live night.
On the fights, I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. So I think we got everything discussed tonight. Cody said that he's going to try for next week. Just depends. If not, we'll try to do maybe like a side interview with Cody just to kind of talk to him about his version of what happened on live night, because he has some stuff he wants to say, I'm sure. But
I want to sneak in one last spoiler.
Yes.
I literally prepped Bill for this season, and so to watch him be second boot pisses me off. Because literally, for the System High Rule meetup in Chicago, Bill met with me and Miranda.
Bill and I were first.
like literally Bill meets with me and Miranda, and he like pumps us for information. Then we meet, like me, Miranda, and Tony meet up in a club, and we're like, did Nate cast Bill? And we were like, no, Nate wouldn't do that to Bill. After watching the Sequester 3 last season, because I was like, no, Bill won't go through this now. It would just be bad at this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were like, again, I think I said this last time, or at least in the cast assessment that was posted today. So it came out a couple of days late, but definitely look at that because it gives my thoughts.
Nate about when this cast assessment has been coming out for weeks.
At least the cast assessment has gone public.
Yes,
it's mostly still hidden in a dark vault.
But
it's mostly Nate's cast assessment.
I just want to point out that Matthew just took credit for my result. So really, that's what you want to do, Matthew? Really, you want to take credit?
No, me and Miranda tried to give you the best advice humanly possible on how to win this game, and you failed.
All right, so Matt's second.
You failed us. You failed the Queen and the Lord.
Talk about Thanksgiving.
Love you, Matthew.
Here we go. The insults followed by the love. Love it.
Okay. Come on, guys. Everyone remember, be nice.
Yeah, but no. What was I gonna say again? Like it was just like I was. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Thanks, guys.
Don't worry. The after show is now officially longer than the episode, so this is great.
Yeah, it's been enough. It's officially our longest episode.
For like 20 minutes.
That's why Nate brought me here.
Yeah.
I promised Nate I would be entertaining. This is what you get.
It's true.
I made the same promise.
But basically, so going forward, we have figured out what the episode schedule is going to be for the rest of the season. So it's going to be a 7-episode season, unlike last season. I think last season has been the longest one so far, which was 8 episodes, I think. And that's because we split the premiere in half. So this is going to be a 7-episode season. Next couple episodes are going to be a ride, and it's going to be a ride the whole way through. In general, there's just going to be a lot of loops. Expect, like, not to rip off BB, but literally expect the unexpected, because it's not just season 3, it's a season of 3s. So just
now that makes sense.
Yep. So just watch out for the rest of the game. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and
Don, there be a third party.
And Don, I don't think you should be expecting any Christmas cards from me anytime soon.
But once we get Don on here, you'll be able to answer you back, Bill.
he's gonna gift you.
Oh,
he's
Don
gonna gift
is
you a knife.
messaging the actual chat for season 3 like crazy during all of it.
Oh,
I can't wait till these two get added to the main alumni chat.
Yep. We're once the season's over, we're going to be adding, for those of you who don't know, if you ever play the game after we finish airing the season, we add everyone that was in the season to our alumni chat, so everyone can convene and just kind of talk about their experiences, because everyone gets PTSD from my game.
Everyone yells at each other for about 10 minutes, and then it's the love fest again. Yep. That's basically what always happens.
Yep.
Yeah, to anyone who's thinking about playing this game, be prepared to have PTSD for at least a few weeks after you get eliminated.
Oh, I literally cried.
You think that 3 weeks is not intense? It's intense. Like, I host a game. I would be terrible at this game if I played. So
I want Nate to play just so I can watch him fail.
We all want to eliminate Nate. Can we just have a game?
Just do like a Julie Chen with the View, like.
Can Bikram host for like a season so we can all?
I did try to get a mini together, but unfortunately that.
We've been trying to vote Nate out since episode 1.
Yeah, I tried to vote Nate out. I literally think I put it in a confessional. I want to vote Nate out.
You did. But I think Don every round was like, "Hey, we're voting to evict Nate today, right?"
Like 25-minute confessionals of a mental breakdown.
Nate gets target confirmed.
Yeah, I played for 6 days about 2 months ago, and I still don't trust Alex like at all. So.
Oh, I'm still getting messages from people about like their experience, like not just from this season, from like this season is like they're now like resurfacing everything because they're like now a month or so removed, and now they're watching everything back. I've talked with season 2 and season 1 alum, and they're still like, "Oh my gosh, why did I do that? Why did I say that?" Like
watching your season is the most painful thing in the entire
me
world.
watching the premiere after I got home, after watching a movie, I was just like, who are you? You're not this person.
No, literally, when Nate's like casting me as the villain, I'm like, huh?
And then the edit made it very clear as to how you became the villain.
I'm like, when did this happen? Who is this person?
Ganondorf.
And like, Bill knows me. This is not me at all. Nate knows me too.
Yes, I do.
And it's like, this is not my personality at all.
Matthew, he is like, Matthew, you were a villain in Hyrule, but you just didn't realize it. And any other game Matthew plays, he's actually like a hero, and he has the traits of a hero, and it's shown in his season. It's just the way you come off, Matthew.
Ivy, isn't it great that like on our episode that Matthew takes, makes this all about him?
Yeah. It was my episode at the beginning.
Moment. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I was originally supposed to be on last week, but Nate failed yet again and told me about 5 hours before the podcast.
Like, I just started a new job. I'm sorry.
Congrats, man.
It just would have been nice to have a little bit of warning, like maybe 2 days in advance to be like, oh, we're doing this.
I usually try to do that, so I'm sorry about that. But I made sure for this week, like, okay, I should probably tell people. So, like, the next person that's eliminated, I will be sure to contact them and to see if they'll be available. I don't think they will, just because I know what their schedule is like, but we'll see what happens.
All right,
if anything, contact me. Now I'm actually free.
Or we can contact Matthew again.
But yeah, no, it's
no. I only asked to do this episode because I knew I was going to be in it.
Yeah. Also, since we're on here, like I don't mind discussing future seasons because we do have like a long-term plan of what we want to do for future seasons. So I don't mind talking about that because I'm excited. It's like I just finalized what our next, I think, like 10 seasons are. Like not next
year. My problem.
Until season 10.
Problem.
Yeah, that's why I didn't post the cast assessment up. He's been figuring out what's going. Once we figure out like the third pardon for like episode 3 and 9, he's too busy. He's too busy.
Job planning next seasons and actually being a decent human being.
I do this when I'm on my breaks at work. But basically, next season, well, Bill and Ivy know what next season's theme is. So I guess.
And you haven't put that in the alumni chat? Why?
I have not put because I only spoil it with the previous season, like the newest season first, and then after the season is aired, I share it with all of the alum.
Yeah, spoiler! I cut Ivy at Final 3 in that season.
We haven't even filmed yet.
Making all-stars, bitch.
But anyway, so season 4,
you're going to turn into me.
Guys, let Nate speak.
So for the next, I'm just gonna give like a 1-word hint for every single season up until season 10. So season 4, which is the next season. For those of you who are interested in playing, we are planning on that season to be filmed around October, November. There's a specific reason for this that yet again Ivy and Bill both know. But basically, the hint is trial. That's that hint for that. Season 5, that one is mercy. So you can take with that. Season 6 is token. Season 7 is peppermint. Season 8 is flame, and season 9 is mouse. So there you go.
What's season 10?
And season 10 is a question mark.
Ooh, that's the most mysterious of them all.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I'm so mad at what next season's gonna be. I'm happy but mad.
Yeah,
I have my speculation on what next season is now.
Do you want to talk about it, Matt?
I've actually totally forgotten, so I have no idea.
I know what it is.
You'll see, like you just look back and chat.
And the hint, I'm thinking something on the Salem Witch Trials.
You never know.
Because that's around Halloween time.
We'll see.
That's late October into early November.
Very possible.
And I know Nate loves some historical junk.
Well, that was this season, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you love dropping it everywhere.
That's
Let's be real.
This isn't history. This is
Here's the
systems.
thing. Nate loves a lot of things. He
Nate
loves
does
a lot of things.
I gain inspiration from a lot of different places. So, yeah, it's a lot of them. I think I've discussed one of those that I dropped a hint for. I think maybe with Paul once.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. But it was an idea that was originally scrapped, but we have revamped it into something completely
different.
different.
You talked about one season that you wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, the one that is not in that list is called The Wicker. That was actually the original theme for System Hyrule. It was going to be The Wicker. We were actually going to do like sorcery stuff, and it just didn't seem right, and we eventually landed on Legend of Zelda. But yeah.
So I know you've talked about doing another game season.
Mm-hmm.
I won't spoil.
People have asked me about Pokemon, if we'll ever do a Pokemon season. The thing is, if we do a Pokemon season, it's easy, but it's difficult to do a Pokemon theme season because I love Pokemon to death, but like the fact of the matter is, if I want to do Pokemon, I want to do it correctly because it has to not only be like resemble Pokemon, but it also has to be the system Pokemon theme. So
people vote for the trainers, and then it's the 6 Pokemon.
So
no,
yeah,
into actual teams of one person's the trainer, one person's the Pokemon. You go at it. That's it.
Ooh, duo season, that works actually.
Now I just have to figure out what season is All Stars.
And you have to dress up every single episode.
Yes.
So
I have to open
for
up my
next season.
that
I already
season
know if I
black
come
now.
back. If I come back like just as like a special guest or something, I know I want to cosplay for next season.
Oh, she'd be perfect.
So with that, I think we're done here tonight.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Paul, for helping host this, and also thank you, Matthew, Ivy, and Bill, for coming on and discussing this episode. Thank you, Ivy and Bill, for playing this season of the game, and of course, Matthew, thank you for playing season 2, and for hosting the comp for this particular round. But anyway, with that, this has been Nate. Paul, that's you.
Oh, and this has been Paul. All right, until next time, guys.
See you around.
Peace.